Why insiders say that Princes William and Harry are still at war.
And we go behind the scenes at the Princess of Wales Carol concert.
Hello and welcome to Heirs and Spares, the show where we bring you insight and opinion into the lives of two rather famous royal couples on either side of the Atlantic. I'm Kinsey Schofield, and I'll be bringing you updates on the Duke and Duchess of Sussex here in California.
And I'm Rupert, and it's not been a quiet week back here in the UK for the Prince and Princess of Wales. I'll have all the news.
All right, Rupert, beautiful photos and stories coming out of the Princess of Wales together at Christmas. This is a carol concert that was recorded on the 6th, but we expect to see it on Christmas Eve. I mean, what a great venue, Westminster Abbey. I mean, how do you go wrong there? Talk to me a little bit about what the reaction was in the UK. Was every paper splashed with her beautiful red coat and bow? How did the UK react to just that sight of her looking happy and healthy around the holidays?
I think the point of this week, we knew that the fact when she goes out now, we know it's a bit of a media fest. You can't get away from it because her sightings have been rare for obvious reasons, which we don't need to go into. But this carol concert is now an increasingly significant part of her life, and she wants to organise it, and it is now, I'm not quite saying a British institution because it's still relatively young, but it's beginning to have a sort of significant place in the sort of build up to Christmas with the stories around it. And it will be going out on Christmas Eve on one of our main channels here. So it's very much part of the Christmas TV scheduling over here. And obviously, there's a great deal of stories behind it. And obviously, this year, there was extra resonance. And some of the messages that were coming out from her and what it meant, I think, has given the service extra significance. 1,600 people there from all walks of life, including some of the people affected by this awful incident in Southport. We've got Sir Chris Hoy, who was there, who's a much decorated Olympian, Sir Chris Hoy, but he's suffering from terminal cancer. One or two other stories as well of people with, trying to help. And that was the message, that coming together, we all need a bit of a TLC. And I think that ultimately was the big message from the carol service, which looked good. You know, that she was spectacularly turned out. She does wear a coat very well, does the Princess of Wales, and with her children all booted and suited and on their very best behaviour with William in tow. It's a busy weekend for the Prince of Wales, but I have to say, obviously haven't seen it, but by all accounts, it was a lovely service.
There are these great photos of Prince Louis, my favorite. I mean, my goodness, if I could adopt a child, it would be Prince Louis. He's got a little note and he's written what he's thankful for. And he says he's thankful for his grandma and grandpa for playing games with him. And of course, then you immediately think back to the video that Catherine released to announce that she was no longer doing regular chemotherapy, that she was feeling a little bit better. And of course, that just, there's that shot of them all playing games and it makes your heart kind of explode.
Yes, okay, we don't know which grandparents he's alluding to, but I'm pretty sure the Princess of Wales's mother was pretty hands-on. I mean, you're very brave if you want to take on Louis. I think you're being absolutely exhausted because it seems to be a buzzball of energy. I don't know how they kept him under lock and key this time. This is the first time he didn't seem to have the naughty side of him on show. He looked like he was in very disciplined mode, and great to see them all there. Look, they all were all dressed up and very formal looking, but you always knew that was going to be the case. And as they inevitably, it must be quite hard for them as well, because they know when you go there, and actually when you first saw the Princess of Wales arrive on her own, obviously helping with the organisation, just the flash bulbs going off was just, extraordinary. So when the three children, along with their father, arrived at the Abbey, again, the spotlight on them. So it's quite daunting for them. And, presumably they feel a little self-conscious, obviously getting used to it a bit, but they would have known that there would have been an extra level of interest in this year's carol concert for obvious reasons.
Okay, know I should move on from Prince Louis, but I'm not done yet. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Rupert. There was a really sweet moment that was caught on tape between Catherine, the Princess of Wales, and Paloma Faith, who is, a rock star. I watch her in some show about Batman that that is bizarre to me that I find so appealing. But I love Paloma Faith, and Catherine's talking to her, and she's saying that Prince Louis really struggled to keep a secret from his big sister, Princess Charlotte. And so the women are chatting, and she's saying that she asked Louis, "Can you keep a secret? Otherwise, it won't be a surprise for Charlotte, who loves her ballet dancing." Louis agreed that he could keep this secret, that there were going to be ballet dancers at this event. And she explained that he kept the secret for nearly 2 weeks. But on the morning of, he said to his mother, "Mummy, please, can I tell her I'm bursting?" Which I thought was so precious, the term "I'm bursting," because I've been there. I am the worst at keeping secrets, Rupert. That's why I'm so great at my job. But you could almost tell, apparently, to the people that were in house and the people that caught her reaction, that Princess Charlotte was surprised by the ballet dancers. So I thought that that is something sweet that we can look forward to seeing happen in real, not in real time, but that is something sweet that we can look forward to watching on Christmas Eve, catching her reaction to the ballet dancers. And also, I love that she loves ballet because that's something that Princess Diana was incredibly passionate about.
It's something, a lot of young girls love ballet, it's very, so something that young girls and boys do. But what I liked about that particular exchange with Paloma Faith was the normal nature of it. It's almost like any other mother talking to a friend. "Oh my God, Louis, he's giving me, I'm doing the best to. I want a little secret for Charlotte, and I've got this tearaway boy who wants to spill the beans at the first opportunity. So he's obviously, Mum did a good job keeping him under lock and key and not telling it. So, but I think that just shows that actually, when you look at that and take it away, it's just like any other family. You're planning a little surprise, surprise parties, and people want to go out and say, but doing their best not to put their foot in it and say. So I think that just shows the normal nature of the family. And she also said, and again, she was doing it on the school run that she did that morning, which is something that she sees very important, that she will be part, just like any other mother or father, dropping their children on the way to their school, which is about 10 miles away, maybe a bit less from Windsor, every morning, go to the school and then carry on with their day, whatever it is. So shows the normal nature of their family as much as possible. And then they're having completely normal conversations about what Mum's up to. And please don't tell Charlotte, because I want her to really enjoy this and not know what's going on.
So sweet. Okay, now let's kind of combine these next two stories because I think they go together, and correct me if I'm wrong. Prince William over here in the States, by the Daily Beast, he's getting pressure to are being kind of he's being judged over the fact that he did not participate in the Diana Awards. They're saying it's because Prince Harry released, or was there available digitally. Prince William submitted some really sweet notes, actually, some very thoughtful notes to the participants. But a lot of criticism coming from the Daily Beast about Prince William not participating in the Diana Awards. William's stance has hardened, they say. According to the Daily Beast, Prince Harry is no longer seeking an apology, but in Prince Harry releasing the idea of an apology, they say Prince William's stance has hardened. Sources have told the Daily Beast, since one friend told the Daily Beast that William effing hates, which I hate to use so close to Christmas, his brother. This came after the Princess of Wales was accidentally, they put that in quotations, named as one of the so-called royal racists, also quotations, who Meghan Markle alleged raised concerns, also quotations, over the likely skin color of any of Meghan and Harry's children before they were born. The other was apparently the king, according to the now pulped foreign language copy of an Omid Scobie book. Now, I would argue that Prince William has had a pretty busy last 2 weeks. I mean, between the Carol concert, jetting off to France to be with the world leaders, which, by the way, we believe was not necessarily a last minute decision, but a decision that was made relatively quickly in the time frame of needing to get on that plane to go represent King Charles, to be there on King Charles's behalf. Do you feel like this was Prince William trying to distance himself from his brother, or do you think Prince William is legitimately busy during the holidays?
If he wanted to do it, he would have done it.
Rupert!
What I'm saying, if he wanted to do it, right, and be part of the Diana Awards in a high-profile way, at the moment, I don't think, much as he loves his, his mother's story is significant, but in the same time, what he's been doing, he's been going out. We've been seeing him making undercover visits, which come out later, to homeless charities. So he has been out and about a lot. So ultimately, I think he's probably put it into and saying, look, this situation with his brother, it's sad because their mother must, you'd be thinking how disappointing that something that had good intentions and yet it's got this undercurrent to it. And whether he has hardened in his view of his brother, I'm sure it's not getting any easier, because even recently when Harry went to New York, which I'm sure we might talk about, there seems to just be an edge to everything that Harry's doing at the moment. He doesn't sound as if he's particularly happy with his lot. There's an anger when you just listen to him speaking at times, and which is sad. So the Diana Award has all the right intentions, but for William, it has been a busy time. Not only is he continuing to support his father and his wife, but obviously at Christmas there are burdens on his time, and he does want to be seen out there and going to those homeless charities, which, as we know, is something that he's absolutely passionate about, and part of his Homewards project and all that which he's involved in. It is very important that he's seen out trying to contribute in a positive way, not trying to be flashy there and then watch me turn up. Here I am, amazing job. Go there, do the work, and then, yes, it might come out later, but isn't that a much better way than it being seen all bells and whistles and actually distracting from what should be a good day for those people who are there? And some of the conversations that have come out from that are very positive, and you can show it shows William's genuine concern. The Diana Award might just be a bit of a sideshow. However, he probably, maybe with a heavy heart, wasn't involved in it, because he knows that ultimately there's always going to be the nitpicking about, well, William did this and Harry did this. So it actually detracts from perhaps the people who are worthy recipients.
Very good point. Yeah. So the Daily Beast reiterates that the last time they were seen to communicate in public, which was barely, was at an unveiling of a statue of Diana in July of 2021. Now, is that true? Because I felt like I saw them communicate after the Queen passed away, when they pulled up and they walked around Windsor. I don't know if they talked directly at each other, but they were together in a very small, they were together in a tight-knit unit, right? Wouldn't you say that was the last time we saw them communicate?
Well, we saw them communicate at Prince Philip's funeral during COVID time, that awful, when that funeral, and they were walking around, and the Princess of Wales was almost like a sort of mediator between the two of them as they walked back. Can't remember during the actual funeral of the Queen.
Well, no, remember when they pulled up to Windsor, and this was a big deal because what we heard was that Harry and Meghan were going to go do a walkabout. And when Prince William learned that Harry and Meghan were going to go do a walkabout, he said, we all four should be there. Let's show unity. They're all in black. And they walked up and down and spoke to people. I think that's actually the last time I feel like I saw them communicate with each other.
Yes, that would be, and I believe the backstory of that was actually, right, you're coming now.
Yeah,
I'm told, because they were, we will do this together. They may have said as they walked out first up into the line of all the well-wishers who were lining the in Windsor Great Park. And then they sort of zigzagged away and sort of avoided obviously too much contact. It wasn't the warmth, but it was obviously designed to put on a show of unity, with William very much in control of that particular moment. And yes, it's now come back to me, age creeping up. Sorry, Kinsey, I couldn't remember.
No, you're fine. I mean, obviously, your age is better than this freaking Daily Beast writer who's like, yeah, back in 2021. Now,
Yeah.
what is interesting is they say that the Daily Beast previously reported that William is getting, if anything, more hostile to the concept of a reconciliation with Harry. Furthermore, the Daily Beast has been told he is using his influence to prevent any reconciliation between Harry and King Charles. When it comes to Harry, they say Harry is said to have dropped his own demands for an apology from the royals for the poor and discriminatory way he alleges his wife was treated by the royals when they lived in the UK. They say that he would like to make a fresh start with his family, including his brother. However, Harry has made it clear he will not apologize for or withdraw remarks made in his films, book, or interviews which shed light on intimate family secrets. And William will not even engage in anything, in any sort of apology unless Prince Harry does make that apology. I think you probably agree with me here. I think Prince Harry is the last thing on Prince William's mind. Like, I hate this idea that Prince William's, like, I feel like I visualize him dressed in a football uniform, like he's defense, like making sure that Prince Harry doesn't get close enough to King Charles. I feel like they are just a gnat. They're a fly that sometimes sometimes they overhear something and they go, ugh. But I just don't feel like they are a priority any longer. I think they have kind of, you know what, Harry and Meghan, go do your thing, but leave us out of it. Do you agree that that's probably the case?
I think there's a bit of sort of clickbait going on in the Daily Beast article, probably sort of easy headlines and sort of to sort of highlight the rift between the two of them. So you can always turn it down a little bit and say, right, the Daily Beast is not going to be doing something that's just not going to attract eyeballs on it. But what I would say is, there is definitely, there's no love lost between them at the moment. And until Harry does actually come around and say, look, I'm sorry for what I've all done, then there's no chance, because William, as you quite rightly say, he's got far more important things to worry about. He's actually got to be concentrating on what the royal family is here now. The Harry and Meghan story is now a sideshow to what the royal family need to do. They've got to regroup now. Forget the Harry and Meghan a lot. They've now gone for some time, 2020.
Yeah.
So it's been some time now. We're heading into nearly in the fifth year of their separation from the royal family. So you're looking at now the royal family after 2024 needs to regroup, because they've gone through a lot of internal turmoil with the health of both the king and his wife, and to the end of the year, his stepmother, the Queen, has also been battling, pneumonia, which when someone's in their 70s is not an easy
dangerous condition
to overcome. So, there's a lot that they're having to contend with as they go into the Christmas time. So for William, the Harry and Meghan saga is just a sideshow. And until the rest of the royal family is back on an even keel, William's not going to be too concerned, sad though he may feel it, for trying to get a rapprochement anytime soon.
I mean, it's so concerning that Tom Parker Bowles is allegedly spending his very first Christmas with his mom since, she became really entwined with the British royal family. He typically says he usually spends Christmases in his track pants, in his lazy pants, with his ex-wife and the kids, and, dines in a pub, waits for the kids to be ready. He's been very open about how he typically wants to spend Christmas with his kids. And this is the first year that his mother has said to him, it would be really important for me to see you this holiday season. I couldn't believe he'd only met the Queen twice. Doesn't that surprise you that Camilla's son had only met the Queen twice?
Well, yes, it does sound slightly surprising, but I think it was probably just it was a slow burn for the Queen, to deal with what was going on, and for him. but actually, when you think that Tom Parker Bowles, who's an eminent food critic, I don't know whether he's going to be helping cook the turkey, but he writes. He's well known for being a food judge on a MasterChef, which is a program that's been attracting headlines recently over here for all sorts of wrong reasons concerning the host. But he has been a guest on that. So, but also bearing in mind, Tom's children were involved in the coronation very heavily.
Yeah.
So therefore, a way of almost saying thank you. They've got the room. William and Catherine, they'll be in their house with their extended family. And I suppose in Sandringham, there'll be a chance for Queen Camilla's extended family to also come. So I think it's all a way for sort of coming together and sort of joining and celebrating, the fact that, we can still enjoy Christmas, and let's bring all the family together. And, there was an interesting article from Tom Parker Bowles, how, he's always tried to avoid cashing in. And actually, he's saying, right, I know it's open doors, but he wouldn't still be doing what he was doing if he wasn't good at it. Yeah. And that's what I come to the point. He's hardworking. He wants to get on with it. And, now he's just employed. Clearly, he's got a cachet, but what he doesn't do, he rarely starts divulging secrets. This is the nearest you've got for him to saying what's going on and how proud he is of his mother and the way she's adapted to the role of being the queen in this country.
Yeah, I've never heard him say anything critical. Part of me has always felt like the reason that Prince Harry was so envious and angry towards Camilla and her family was because at the time she had a naughty teenager too, but a lot of the media focus was on Harry. But Harry, you were the son of Princess Diana and the future king. There's literally no comparison. But I always felt like he was jealous that even though Tom Parker Bowles was getting up to some of the same teenage boy things that Harry was in the headlines for, they did not treat him in the same way. I also just quickly, to your point about the Daily Beast, it seeming kind of clickbaity, it also just really leans into the Prince Harry as a victim. Oh, well, Prince Harry's ready to make friends with everybody again, but everybody's being mean. So like, oh, guys, we are so tired of this.
Well, yes, and it comes back to what Meghan was saying after this documentary came out in Germany, which was, spotlighting the problems for the Sussexes. And yet there are people in Montecito saying they're not so enamored of the couple up the road. They seem to keep themselves to themselves and are not integrating. Whereas people there are saying, anonymous people are saying, people get together. It's a tight-knit community, but the Sussexes very much do their own thing. And now they're upset that people are having a go at them, which actually, you've got to actually look at yourselves and say, well, you actually started all of this by your comments, which you've alluded to in the documentary and in the book. You've opened up, you were criticizing. So as you say in life, if you can't take it after dealing it, then you shouldn't perhaps have dealt it in the first place. I mean,
Tom Parker Bowles might say, if you can't take the heat, get out the kitchen.
Yeah. Well, which is exactly the right phrase. And basically, Tom Parker Bowles said, look, I was a naughty boy in my 20s. I can't tell my children not to do any of these things because I did it myself. But I will hope they just learn, keep their mouths shut, don't be stupid, make sure, put phones away and all that sort of thing. If they're going to do it, he's saying, look, I can't preach. But this is you're going to dish the dirt, then you've actually got to, at the same time, that when the tables are turned on you, don't play the victim. And that's what they pierce those statements that Meghan has been putting out. And again, you saw Harry in New York when he's saying, look, I am looking on social media, all the stuff about my marriage. I have no idea what state their marriage is. But when you listen to him answering those questions, it was, as I said at the start, filled with anger. You just see to me that
Also, like, I would expect so much more from a New York Times panel. Like, if I'm sitting down with a New York Times panel, I don't want to talk to you about something I might see splashed across the National Enquirer, because you're supposed to be better than that, New York Times. But what you were referring to was these comments that a source close to Meghan made to OK Magazine. This was Meghan responding to the new German documentary of the Harry, the Lost Prince. And the source said both Meghan and Harry feel the show is yet another one-sided takedown of them. Oprah, Netflix, spare, and just want it all to stop. Imagine how Queen Elizabeth felt. They added, it's like they can't escape their past. Prince Harry, who's like literally in litigation with multiple media outlets over things that happened 20 years ago, and are still being judged on things that happened over 5 years ago. Lip gloss? Prince Harry's writing about lip gloss, okay, that happened 5 years ago. So it's truly just pot, meat, kettle. Like you called it when we talked on Royally Unfiltered a few days ago, a complete lack of self-awareness. I
yeah,
mean, these two could just be at the top of the list for a complete lack of self-awareness.
they've got to learn to read the room. And once you learn to read the room, you might be able to regroup. But at the moment, there she is flaunting herself on this with Tyler Perry on that great black carpet, red carpet. I'm not sure what it was, but anyway, some awards things for Tyler Perry, who clearly is an amazing individual in terms of what he's achieved and how he does it. And Meghan is desperate to be on his coattails and being, around his a level of stardust, which and there was a very good article published in, I think one of the broadsheets here.
Was it the Times?
With the Times about Tyler Perry, which was really fascinating because I didn't really know too much about him. He's extraordinary. One man media machine by the sound of things. So Meghan is desperate to be on his coattails, as you saw in that.
Self-made man started from absolutely nothing.
Oh,
I love Tyler Perry. I had the opportunity to interview him, and I was just bursting. To steal a line from Prince Louis, I was just bursting because I was so excited to interview him. I love Madea movies, which are just absolute. I mean, they are just not the highest quality film, okay? But I love them because they're silly, and I go and sit and watch them in theaters, and I'm just like the loudest one cackling. And her relationship with him has soured my joy when it comes to Tyler Perry content, because he is, first of all, they were not friends before any of this. He contacted her when he found out she was marrying Prince Harry and said, "Thank you for being this beacon. Like, you don't understand what you're doing for young Black girls all over the world." And he said, "If you ever need anything, please contact me." And Meghan calls him and unloads on him out of nowhere about how she hates being a member of the British royal family. And he's like, "Well, let's get you out of there." And the Times asks him about that over the weekend and is like, "How did you help Meghan prepare for Megxit?" And he was very defensive. They say to the point where they realized they needed to redirect. Otherwise, they were going to lose him. And it's like, you know what? You don't even know how. I know he would be like, "You don't know these people," but he is hearing, back to Meghan's comments, a one-sided takedown of a family. He does not know the other side, and he is hearing one very jaded side of a takedown. Meghan is an opportunist who saw a self-made man who has a heart 3 sizes bigger than mine, that wanted to be kind and help her out. And I'm really disappointed that she's kind of soured my relationship with him, and how much joy he used to bring me. He killed Madea in one movie, and I was like, "Are you ever bringing her back?" And he was like, "Oh, hell no." And I thought that was so funny. He's brought her back, by the way, so it was a lie. But
you must have been your influence. I promise I have no idea what you're talking about in these films. I've no idea. Culturally, they have slipped me by. It may be obviously, but when I was reading the article, I go, "Wow!" I have no idea where were these? Where do you find these films? But I was fascinated by his backstory and how he did not have it easy when he was a young lad, and how he doesn't talk now to his father, and just a really interesting backstory about how a man has really worked his socks off to get to where he is today. And, you get the 57 minutes or he's allowed in the interview. And it was a fascinating read. But obviously, going the Meghan route is somewhere he probably doesn't want to really go, because I don't know whether he think it was in hindsight, whether he thinks it was a good thing, bad thing. I've no idea.
He's Lily's godfather, so
Yeah.
I'm sure he's staying very committed to the pair because Meghan just meets this man and makes him her child's godfather. I mean, it's just classic Meghan manipulation, if you ask me. He is so smart though, because in one of his, I don't know if they mentioned this in the article, but in one of his studios in Atlanta, they have erected a piece by piece clone of the Oval Office. So anytime you have a shot of the president, there is a place you could go tomorrow to shoot that scene, which is brilliant. So now if you are writing any sort of movie that involves a president of the United States character, instead of having to spend the money to recreate the Oval Office, there's one that exists right now today in Atlanta. And so, I mean, it's a no-brainer that you're going to save money by grabbing half your crew, going and spending some time in Atlanta and shooting those scenes versus having to erect an entire Oval Office set.
Well, that's why he's a very clever and a very rich man, and he deserves all the success coming to him. But obviously, that's why Meghan is desperate to see with his stardust that, she's got an open door to him. But I don't know whether he's helping her with her projects. If he's got any sense, he'll just carry on making his films and doing his thing as successfully as he is continuing to do. And, well, I don't know. I suppose the royal family have now been getting good use to meeting future presidents and everything. But maybe now Prince William needs to go to Atlanta to film his next bit with Donald Trump.
No, that's where we'll see Harry and Meghan faking it, because that's all they do. Fake it till you make it. That's what Harry and Meghan will be in Atlanta taking those pictures. Prince William's the real deal. What did you think about his in interaction with Donald Trump? It tickled me. I thought that they both seemed very at ease with each other.
Well, it's actually interesting. Donald Trump is clearly an Anglophile.
Yeah.
His heritage and, golf and, Scotland being the home of golf. He's got business interests here, building golf courses in Aberdeenshire, and he obviously owns Turnberry and other vested interests here. And, before, I think, the election, we saw him going over pictures of his time with the Queen, and he definitely enjoyed that and felt very privileged, and he spoke. For him, you never quite know what's going to come out of his mouth because he's a stream of consciousness. But that's why he's ended up being president of America, because people have liked that stream of consciousness, and you can't deny it. He is a force of nature, and he was very calm and sort of respectful of his time with the Queen. Okay, he got himself, maybe people was poo-pooing the fact that he walked in front of the Queen, but, well, Donald's never going to be told what to do, even with the Queen around. He'll do his best, but ultimately, the Donald will do what he wants. But actually, it was very interesting that weekend, seeing the opening of the Notre Dame, which is an amazing achievement to restore it within 5 years. France has got some issues, but I tell you what, they pulled out all the stops to produce this magnificent recreation and rebuild of the Notre Dame. France is one of its iconic monuments, and all various world leaders were there. It was interesting that from a British perspective, because our Labour government has found themselves in controversial moments with some of their comments about Donald Trump over the years. So it's interesting that Prince William is stepping up to the plate to provide the soft power to bridge the link between him and, using him as the bridge between him and the government in this country. It was a trip that was sanctioned by the Foreign Office. And you would have thought that, Keir Starmer might have found it as an opportunity, because these big occasions are an opportunity for world leaders. And there's a lot going on in the world. Every day you wake up to a headline and think, what's going on there? To all just have a quiet half an hour together. Now, we've had Storm Dara over here, which has been playing havoc with lots of people. And I think it played havoc with Prince William's travel arrangements to get to Paris, which is only a 30-minute flight, as we know. It's a hop, skip over the English Channel, and there you are in Paris. But Storm Darragh was pretty brutal over the weekend in this country. So he goes, and he does then have this half-an-hour meeting. And I do think it's testament to William that they, in representing the king, who obviously is recovering from cancer and was deemed perhaps, no, don't go, you've got to be doing a lot, you don't need to hop over. And much as the king would have loved to have seen the rebuilt Notre Dame.
I think he saw it recently, didn't he? The king has seen it recently, and that was one of the reasons why he didn't go, correct?
Well, he would have, when he did the state visit, so he might have been able to have a look at it. But actually to see it in the splendid nature of it opening and everything else that's going on, the king would have absolutely loved being there, because he's such an advocate for, I say traditional architecture or the heritage. And so he would have loved to have been there. So William going there was a testament to William's now role in that soft, preparing him for what else ultimately could happen as when he becomes king of this country. So I thought it was very interesting. It was very telling from your perspective, just how, everybody was, Donald Trump does create stardust around him. He is a force of nature. Whatever you think of him, he creates a level of interest around him. And, now knowing Jill Biden was there, but she was a complete sideshow, because it doesn't matter what she thinks. What, down the line, President Zelensky of Ukraine and President Macron with Donald, doing their thing, knowing that in January, he's the man. And that's just 6 weeks away, something like that, before his inauguration. So it's very interesting and as very telling that the British government felt they needed our royal family to go out to try and smooth over the problems, and having a half-hour talk when actually the king or the Prince of Wales isn't supposed to have any real constitutional role in terms of what the government does, just plays a backstop. But actually, there was definitely a briefing going on, and Donald loved and said, this guy's a good guy. And I wonder, you can read into that what you like, because
he said this guy's a good guy, and then he goes, this one, and you almost thought opposed to the other one, because he's like, this guy's a good guy, this one. I mean, I'm definitely making more out of that than it was. I'm sure he was just being Donald, but because because of that storm, because of the delay in Prince William's travel, he had to have his meeting that was anticipated with Jill Biden during the ceremony. They just caught up on the sidelines during the ceremony, according to Kensington Palace. So the priority remained Donald Trump, which, is interesting. And then what else was I going to say? Yeah, I mean, I thought it was an interesting exchange. I do think that it shows how important that the royal family remain as an institution. I mean, Labor sent Labor members to the United States to campaign for Kamala Harris. The fact that Donald Trump is so enamored and admires the British royal family is so important while there's a Labor government, because Prince William can likely pick up the phone and talk nice to Donald Trump and make positive things happen for both of our countries. So, it's a good thing Donald Trump can be sweet talked, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
Well, no, but I think that's the point of politics. It's how you build relationships. And if the way to get to the president of the United States is through our royal family, because of historical statements that the current government in this country voted in, democratic process, fine and dandy, but they've been by their statements. And when he came for a state visit, we've seen various members who were openly critical of him when he came over. But you've just got to accept he is the president, and you have to deal with the here and now. And if the royal family, and at least they've had the good sense to realize that the best way to get to the president, the new president-elect of the United States, is through members of the royal family, then all power to the royal family's elbow, that they are going to be the go-between in a way. And Prince William is that, maybe perceived as that go-between, because the relationship seems to be a close one, and Donald Trump seemed to genuinely be pleased to be in his company. I know it's all a bit stage managed, but it does show the importance of the royal family within Britain's role in the outside world and what they bring. And that's really is now where William has got to grow even further into that role. And we saw an example of that over the weekend. And perhaps, maybe that would be seen as one of the most important meetings that he's had to have since he's now become the heir to the throne. And with his father recovering, his wife not around, but obviously she wouldn't necessarily be involved in it, but it shows the increasing reliance that the king will have on his son and heir over the coming months.
I'm just sitting here with this, eating grin on my face, knowing that that is the situation that Meghan Markle saw herself and Prince Harry in. And look at, they've alienated themselves. They've made so many wrong moves that I don't think they're taken seriously in that arena anymore. But that is how they envisioned themselves. That is how they envisioned their future. That's why Meghan was on the floor calling senators, campaigning for a longer time for women's leave after birth. I believe that's what she was campaigning for, longer maternity leave or something like that. But that is what she envisioned. She thought that Harry and Meghan, she thought that they were going to be the movers and shakers.
Well, that's just not going to happen. And in America, you can't have the Duke of Sussex telling Americans how to live.
No.
Get real.
Yeah.
And then you can't also at the same time probably having the Duchess of Sussex, however well-intentioned she might be with those things, telling Americans how to live. She's now got her situation. And, I'm sure we've referenced it before, titles mean nothing in the States. It's not something, but as we've also said, and I've said in that rather filtered last week, why do they still cash in on the title? Now, the Harry, I can see, and yes, it was a title given by his mother, his grandmother. So it's something that can't be taken away. But they have got themselves in a pickle. There's no two ways about it. Look, we're going to see a Polo documentary coming out.
Yeah. Let's wrap it up with the Polo documentary. It's coming out today.
About that some other time once we've seen it, but
it's coming out today. What are our predictions? Do we think it's going to smash Netflix records?
No, there are much better things on Netflix, I think. Look, I'll probably have to watch it and have an opinion, and I'll go, well, there's nothing new, because when you know that some of the quotes about this will show the sport in a new light, it's our drive to survive. Get over yourself. Polo is an elite sport that, within a view of Americans, means the square root of naffle. So
I loved that Nacho said, I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens. Hopefully this will be the beginning of a longer series. So they're like crossing their fingers for season 2 of this already. And the Daily Beast, as much as we've been on them today, the Daily Beast, Tom Sykes of the Daily Beast, I think for the Times, wrote a piece where he was talking about how Nacho was like the it guy 20 years ago. He was like the sexy polo player that was also the model. And he was like, why would you like bank the entire success of your polo show on this guy that was relevant 20 years ago? What makes you think that today people are going to be like, oh yeah, now we're going to buy into Nacho?
Well, Nacho basically, we talk about Meghan on the coattails of Tyler Perry. Well, we've got Nacho Figueres, or whatever he's called, on the coattails of the Sussexes for his oxygen of publicity. So they all need each other in various ways. The one person who probably doesn't need any of them is the aforementioned Tyler Perry. And what's that movie?
Medea Goes to Jail. Why don't you watch that one first?
Medea Goes to Jail. Sounds interesting. I'm absolutely riveted. Medea Goes to Jail. I'll report back once I've seen it and whether it was worth my time. It might be better than the Polo series, that's for sure.
Oh my God. Well, first of all, I can confirm yes, but it's Tyler Perry dressed as an old woman.
Okay, I've got a lot going on to compute there. That's not something I was expecting. So it's a bit like Eddie Murphy when he was playing, what was it?
Yes, it's exactly like that. Yes, yeah. It's exactly, but Tyler Perry is better. And then, but you know what? I am surprised that Meghan hasn't worked with him yet, because when Whitney Houston died, he immediately put Whitney Houston's daughters in some of his pieces. He gave Kim Kardashian her first break as like a secretary. So like I'm actually surprised. I will have to wait and see. Watch this space. Megan might pop up as a secretary or something in one of his films because that's typically how he functions. And we know Megan is desperate for anything that makes her relevant at this point in time. So, I think she would have to go the route of like cute cameo versus like starring in a Tyler Perry movie because that looks way too much like nepotism. Like, oh, the godfather of my child put me in this film. So she would have to do like a cute cameo in something. But yeah, go watch Medea. Agree with us, disagree with us. Do you like Medea? Do you not like Medea? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure you like, subscribe, share this video with a friend. Thanks so much for watching. Rupert Bell and Kinsey Schofield. Make sure you watch our Naughty or Nice special coming up around the holidays. Bye.
Bye.